A pair of MAGA spies have been outed in a report by the New York Times, which reads like a really bad spy novel. Their names are Bo Mayer and Sophia LaRocca, and they're basically used campaign contributions to Democrats and moderate Republicans to gain access to their backdoor events, their high roller dinners, to try and dig up dirt that they could use against them, all in the service of MAGA. Or whatever. So, okay, more on this story. Using large campaign donations and cover stories, the operatives aim to gather dirt that could sabotage the reputations of people and organizations considered threats to a hard right agenda advanced by President Donald J. Trump. At the center of the scheme was an unusual cast. Okay, a former British spy connected to the security contractor Eric Prince, a wealthy heiress to the Gore fortune, and undercover operatives like Mr. Mayer and Miss LaRocca, who use Wyoming as a base to insinuate themselves into the political fabric of this state and at least two others, Colorado and Arizona. Okay, so just for some context, Bo Mayer is number one, the nephew of Glenn Beck, strange. And both Mayer and LaRocca were recruited from Project Veritas, that like extremist sting operation that brought down Acorn, and that's about it. So Eric Prince, by the way, you guys remember, is the brother of Betsy DeVos, founder of Blackwater, the private security firm involved in heinous crimes in Iraq, etc. All right, I want to go a little bit more on this. So the big spy, that guy's name is Mr. Seddon. So Mr. Prince had set Mr. Seddon's work in motion, recruiting him around the beginning of the Trump administration to hire former spies to train conservative activists in the basics of espionage and send them on political sabotage missions. Okay, so there's that. Now, how did they get the money? How did they get the money? Because these guys were like, here's 10,000, here's 20, here's 250, whatever. Wyoming, key swing state. Okay, so by the end of 2018, Mr. Seddon secured funding from the Wyoming heiress Susan Gore, according to people familiar with her role. He recruited several former operatives from the conservative group Project Veritas, where he had worked previously to set up political infiltration operations in the West. Last thing, and I'll turn it to the panel to opine, but you gotta know about Susan Gore. Again, heiress to Gore-Tex, if you ever had. I like waterproof things, so now I feel like maybe I'm a traitor and I need to just get wet, for the revolution. But okay, so Gore, after getting a divorce in 1981, joined the Transcendental Meditation movement, according to court documents in Delaware. But she became gravely ill and left the movement to convalesce in monasteries for 3 years. In a bizarre turn 2 decades later, she tried to adopt her former husband in an attempt to increase their children's share of the family inheritance. So she tried to make her husband, her ex-husband, a kid to get, anyway, guys, this Rube Goldberg machine of conservative spies. There's more to this, but just initial thoughts on it.
I just love the idea that these people think that the Democratic Party, the fumbling, bumbling Democratic Party, is worthy of some spy sting operation, as if the modus operandi of the party isn't self-sabotage. The idea that they would pour tens of thousands of dollars into bringing down an organization that is already dedicated to killing itself is just hilarious to me. Like, that's my favorite part of this. They're trying to take down the Dems. They're trying to take down the people who, in response to George Floyd and mass protests and the biggest sort of public outcry that we've seen basically since the 60s, Nancy Pelosi showed up to Congress in kente cloth and took a knee. That's the Democratic Party they're trying to sabotage. I find that laughable.
It's like trying to sink an already sinking Titanic. You're like, we got it.
We got it.
Okay. Too much money and too much time on their hands. I mean, complete waste of time. Because I was, when I was first looking over this story, I was like, why couldn't they just go online and read about stuff? Like, most of the information about what the Democrats are doing is public, because is why I said they're not the opposition party. They're the party of capitulation. They're the Republicans are Budweiser and Democrats are Bud Light. It's not. And this whole situation reminds me, if y'all remember, from The Emperor's New Groove, when Gronk was trying to throw away Cusco's body and he was against the wall like, and the dude walked past. I don't know if you remember that part, but like
such a specific reference. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
that's what brings it to me to mind. If y'all ain't seen that, go watch The Emperor's New Groove, and it's just Gronk when he was acting like he was a spy trying to sneak, but everybody saw him and he wasn't doing a good job at it. That's what this whole situation reminds me of. It's just, I mean, what's the point? Y'all already got the power. You already get your way most of the time. The courts are completely in your favor. You've redistricted everything. You're more likely than not to win, the House and the Senate, or one or the other back in 2022, which will further damage just the Democrats' reputation going into 2024. So, this is just again, too much money and too much time on their hands. Like, it's kind of like a fun project for them, like they playing laser tag or something.
Totally, it's like it's already skewed in your favor, but do you, I guess. It is very cosplay. It's very like Muppet babies stacked on top of one another in a trench coat, just like trying to get into the Democratic, little ballroom. Let me just read you more about what they were able to do, because it's actually surprising how easy it is to sort of buy your way into some of these positions, especially, interestingly, in the Democratic Party within red states like Wyoming. So they took aim at Republicans and Democrats, right? So we're talking moderate Republicans, Democrats as well. They took aim at the administration of Republican governor of Wyoming, Mark Gordon, whom hard-right conservatives considered far too moderate and whose candidacy Ms. Gore had opposed in 2018. They targeted a Republican state representative, now the Wyoming Speaker of the House, because his openness to liberalizing marijuana laws, a position Ms. Gore vigorously opposes. When it comes to this Miss LaRocca, okay, guys, I'm sorry, it keeps going and it's so hilarious. So more on Miss LaRocca. Mr. Seddon, this is like the former spy, appears to have directed Miss LaRocca's outreach to the Wyoming Democratic Party as a safe first step towards building up her bona fides for future operations. Democrats in the state are vastly outnumbered, have little political clout, and are eager for volunteers. Ms. LaRocca quickly declared her candidacy for vice chairwoman of the Wyoming Young Democrats, obtained a contract position at the party as a fundraiser paid by commission, and had meetings with the state's party's top two officials, Joe Barbuto and Sarah Hunt. So her cover was a little weird, like she was a little sus, because her name kept switching. So Ms. LaRocca introduced herself to party officials as Kat Devereaux, but she eventually told us, yeah, Devereaux, hello. And she was like, I am Carmen Kat Devereaux. She eventually told a story about why she later went by the name Sophia LaRocca. She had been a victim of an online stalker, she said, but decided to once again use her original name because the police had told her that her stalker had reformed. What? All the time. When you change your whole identity, but then you just change it back because you're like, whatevs?
Yeah, I do that all the time. Like Diddy, just like Diddy, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We gonna start calling you Brother Love.
Exactly. That's what we gonna do. That's what we gonna do.
It's so bonkers. Okay, I have to finish this out, and then we need to assess these people. Okay. So they were working up until the 2020 election, right? Tinkering in Wyoming, tinkering the Democratic Party, trying to dig out secrets. By the way, no secrets, unclear what they uncovered, looks like nothing. But what happened to them? Where'd they go? What happened? So right before the November election, Mr. Mayor and Ms. LaRocca disappeared. On October 21st, she wrote an email to her boss saying she had to leave the country. Quote, I have a family emergency and I'm going to Venezuela as my grandmother is gravely ill. But the couple never left the area. Mr. Mayor and Ms. Seddon have been working together on a business venture importing ammunition from overseas, according to a business document linking the two men that was obtained by the Times. So there's importing ammunition. Oh, and by the way, they just got married. And Glenn Beck, Mr. Mayor's uncle, spoke at the wedding.
Mr. Chalkboard. Oh man.
I mean, all right.
This is just silly. This is just pure silliness. These people's efficiency is legendary.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.